Yes guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a new video. Hope you guys are all enjoying your week so far. International break. Yeah, ain't always the most fun, but it's an early start for me. Cup of tea in hand, sun rising through the window, and despite reports coming out over the last couple of days that Sven Botman is at the top of Liverpool's target list going into the January window, well, breaking news as of yesterday that Sven Botman himself is keen to get his Newcastle United contract extended. So we're going to talk a little bit about that in this video as well as his start of what we're hoping to be the perfect partnership with Malik Chow and contracts generally. Because I do think it's something that Newcastle need to get into, and there's a few names on this list in front of me that I think Newcastle need to really get hold of and get sorted sooner rather than later. So yes, guys, before we get into it, be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and hit hype. It's a new thing now. Only some people get it, apparently. Like, subscribe, comment, hype. Yeah, the list is getting longer and longer to help promote my video, to help me reach other Newcastle fans, and to just help me out in general. So if you do enjoy the videos, be sure to drop a like, be sure to hit a hype, get this video moving. But as I've mentioned, reports are coming out in the last couple. It is really strange. What Liverpool appear to do with their transfers, and it's essentially that they give everyone the heads up first. So Liverpool brought out a list of 3 or 4 players end of last week, start of this week, and Sven Botman featured on it. The idea behind it was that they obviously wanted Mark Guéhi in the summer. They presumably want Mark Guéhi in the January or the following summer on a free. But obviously, when it gets to that stage, things have changed, things have moved, and maybe Guéhi decides to go somewhere else. So Liverpool have put this list out. It was TalkSport reporting it, as well as a couple of other outlets, that Sven Botman is a player that Liverpool would be interested. And if I'm honest, I'm not surprised. I think a lot of teams are interested in Sven Botman. He's been fantastic since he's come back in for us this season. Really hope we can get a good run with him this season. Obviously, the only downside of Sven Botman is the game time we've been able to give him. But, you know, touch wood, so far this season he's been showing the promise that, well, we see it every time, really. It doesn't take him long to integrate, it doesn't long to take him get up and running again. Once he's in the side, he's playing great. And I think it really was highlighted at the weekend with the Botman and Malik Chow partnership. Both very comfortable on the ball, both reading the game really well. I think probably Chow more than Botman, but bring a little bit of, maybe a bit of extra pace as well. I think really helps. Don't get me wrong, I don't think Burn, well, we'll talk about Shaw and his contract in a moment. I don't think Burn and Shaw are going anywhere this season. I think they will continue to be in the lineups. I don't suppose they're going to be pushed to one side. Well, Dan Burn is literally getting pushed to one side, out to left back. And I think he could well be there for a little bit longer. But I guess that's the benefit of what we're kind of seeing right now, is that we have got that little bit more squad depth. And, you know, should Chow have not come in, I guess Shaw coming back from his head injury, and then you've got Kraft, Lascelles. Yeah, to see them two together at the weekend and in the last couple of games has been really promising. And to hear that Sven Botman is keen to extend his Newcastle United contract is big for us. So I was having a look this morning. So Botman's got, 2 years. He's got a year left this summer. So his contract ends at the end of, the summer of 26, and then his contract ends the summer of 27. So as of this summer, Botman will have a year left on his deal. And essentially, that's the point really where Newcastle need it extended. You really don't want a player hitting the last year of their contract. It makes them worth less to us. So for example, even if there was a situation where we did look to sell Botman, which I really hope we don't, we're not looking at huge fees anymore because he's on a year left on his deal. Well, I haven't said that. You know, Johan Wizard, we paid through for him. The Palace was still wanting 30, 40, 50 million for Mark Guéhi. So maybe it's not the same anymore. Maybe the world has changed a little bit and teams aren't really getting held for ransom over 1 year contracts anymore. But ultimately what Newcastle want to do is get that contract extended before we get into the summer, so that we don't have these questions being asked. We don't have Liverpool putting posts going, we're interested in Sven Botman. It's like, well, no, actually, because he signed a new deal with us, and reports are coming out that Botman himself is keen to sign it as well. So fingers crossed, this is the start of what can be contracts starting to come through the door for Newcastle. You know, we saw it a couple of years ago where, you know, Bruno signed one, then Joe Linton signed one. I think it was Gordon was the most recent to sign. Then Gordon's got until 2030 now. He signed quite a long deal there. So fingers crossed, Botman can be one of the first over the line, and then we can start to chug along over the international break. It's not a bad time to do it, really, where we've all got a little bit more time on our hands. I suppose it's not helpful when people are on international duty trying to give them a phone call, can we sort this out? But yes, the positive is Botman's interested. We need to push on and get that one sorted. And as I've mentioned, well, Malik Chow's deal, I presume, is till 2030 or something. So if we can look to give Botman an extra 3-4 years on his deal, Burn, Shaw, I think we'll get, Fabian Shaw, his contract ends this summer. So that's an interesting one. I think Shaw's, does it end this summer, or does he have a +1 still? I think both him and Burn. So Burns ends the year following. So yes, I think the pair of them have still got years left in them. But you have to look forward and kind of post this season, where I think we'll probably see a mishmash of all four of them. I think going into next year, providing Botman stays fit, providing Chow keeps up the good form. You know, the old guard have never let us down, so I'm not pushing them out. But let's just start to see that integration of all four of them. 3 at the back, 5 at the back. You know, Eddie Howe's got weird and wonderful plans at times. But yes, let me drop a like on this video if you would like to see Sven Botman sign a new deal. In terms of other deals that we could look to get, we hope to get done quickly. Trippier, 1 year left on his deal. I think Trippier deserves an extra year, a minimum. He's playing right now. You know, it's crazy. This is the thing. That's why I'm trying to be careful with what I say, because I do find it interesting that Tino's come in, done great. Hall's come in, done great. You know, it's back to Trippier again because of injuries. So it's easy for me to go, yeah, Botman and Chow, they're the new way forward. And then, you know, this time next week, it could well be Burn and Shaw running the show for us, winning cups for us, getting us back to the Champions League. So, yes, these players are still very important, and I think that's why they should be given further deals. I think Trippier deserves one. As I mentioned, Shaw already, he's coming in last year. Him, look at that one. Nick Pope as well. And then you could throw Ramsdale in there because he's only on loan. So then you've got 2 goalkeepers that potentially could be leaving at the end of this season. So that's another one. I think we have not really seen Ramsdale yet. I think it makes sense to give Pope an extra year just to keep him on the books. I think he's still doing us proud despite maybe some of his I was going to say incapabilities. That seems quite harsh. He's very capable with his hands. Feet is questioned, but he is the top of the clean sheets charts for goalkeepers in the Premier League this season. So for me to sit here and call him is fairly uncalled for. And then you got the likes of a Lascelles as well, which, you know, has his time at the club ran to a natural conclusion. Possibly. And then you start looking at the 2 years. You know, Sandro Tonali, to just 2 years left on his deal. Bruno and Joe Linton, I think, have got about two years left on their deals as well. So, yes, things start to tick on. Obviously, there's some people in there in the 1 year, but Sandro Tonali, who's had huge praise in the last few days. Paul Scholes coming out saying he thinks he's the best player in the midfielder in the Premier League right now, which, you know, I don't agree with a lot of stuff that man says, but we found common ground when we're thinking about Tonali. Yes, I think Tonali needs a new, as I've mentioned, we saw Gordon get his, Bruno and Joe Linton. I think Tonali needs to have an extension. You know, you think in the time he's been here, he's lost a year through the ban. Look, when players are playing that well, teams come knocking. Madrid's, Barcelona's. You know, we had this conversation with Isak a while ago, and I think that was obviously what let all of the fans down, was that he didn't just give us that little bit extra. I don't think Tonali's going anywhere in a rush, but with 2 years left on his deal, we'll need to make sure of that. And it makes sense to really get that one cracking as well. So yeah, big news on Botman. Very happy to hear that he's keen to continue to stay, repay what Newcastle have done for him. He spent a lot of time on the sidelines, had a lot of rehabilitation at Newcastle. We're really trying to push him on and take him to that next level. He started really well this season. Get him on a new deal, keep him tied down, and see how he gets on with Chow this season. And as I say, in the back of my head, can't help but looking at what the kind of buzz Tonali's bringing right now. And in the summer, he'll have a year left. So, no. Yeah, no, in the summer he'll have Tonali will have 2 years left in the summer. But yeah, even that's scaring us. Thanks for watching, guys. Drop a like on the video and subscribe if you have enjoyed. Hit hype to help me out. Enjoy your day. Thanks for watching. Plenty going on over the international break, despite no Newcastle United actual football, but always stuff to talk about. Enjoy your day, and I'll catch you later.